As we continue to teach you about exercise and proper techniques to keep yourself healthy and well, we need to review some things in regards to warm-ups and cool downs to help us understand how it helps our body both physically and mentally, and what the benefits are for a warm up and a cool down. So first off, what is an effective warm-up? An effective warm-up should include general exercises, simple exercises that help get your heart rate up, pulse raiser. You're gonna feel your pulse beating faster as you begin and work the exercises within a general warm up. You're also going to have involve some dynamic stretching. We'll get into talking about what dynamic stretching is in a second. Uh, it also should be specific to what you're trying to do, specific to or maybe a particular sport and skill, specific to a particular activity that you're looking to participate in after that warm-up session. And then lastly, an effective warm up should prepare you mentally, not only physically getting your heart rate up and getting your body ready to participate, but it also should help you get focused, maybe ease your anxiety, help you relax a little bit before the activity. At the same time, you are increasing your body's ability to move. So with a warm up, there's a number of different benefits. One, physiologically, meaning body, physically is going to be able to deliver oxygen to the muscle tissues better, which therefore, if we're getting more oxygen to our muscles, we'll be able to produce more energy and maintain a high level of performance. It helps improve muscle blood flow. That muscle blood flow relates to that oxygen delivery, and therefore helps our body to continue working at a higher level. It increases our speed of nerve conduction. It allows our brain to send messages fast to our muscles to help us in our physical movements, to help us in our body control while participating in a particular event. It's going to reduce, of course, the likelihood of a muscular injury. It helps reduce and prevent injuries by doing a proper warm up. It will increase the heart rate, which again increases the blood flow and the oxygen delivery, which helps in our energy production. With those physical benefits, there's also the psychological or the mental benefits. Again, it's going to help control anxiety. If it's a big performance you're going to have after your warm up, this will help relax you and maybe ease some of that anxiety or stress. Good anxiety and good stress, but it will help relax you prior to participating in that performance. It helps you get focused on what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're going to perform in. And lastly, it's going to help you practice the skills involved, which will help ease that anxiety, ease that stress, and help keep your mind focused on the tasks at hand. So with a warm up exercises should include exercises that will allow you to do a warm up for 5 to 10 minutes. At least a minimum of 5 minutes. Your warm up should be 10 minutes maximum. Although as the exercise or the activity is more intense, you should have a longer of a warm up, possibly longer than 10 minutes. So if you have a high intensity activity that you're performing in, well, then maybe you should do a longer warm up. You should start off slowly. This could be as simple as just walking to get your body up and moving, and then increase in the intensity of the exercises. And there's a variety of different exercises you could do. It's important to note that the warm up exercises should work the entire body. They could be anything from walking as a slow start to a jog and then possibly a run. Again, and not a sprint. Sprint wouldn't be a good idea for a warm up exercise. Jumping jacks, lunges, squats, push ups, burpees, a high knee run, as these two guys are doing over here. You could do that in place, or you could do it moving over a distance. Those will help in regards to getting your body warmed up, shuffling, karaoke, skips, leg swings. Even if you're doing an activity or a sports specific event that involves you throwing or shooting, doing those skills at a slow pace to start, throwing a ball, playing catch, shooting a basketball, all good warm up exercises to include in a proper warm up to get you ready for the day's event or task or activity. Now, within a warm up, you could involve some stretching. Now, some points with warm up stretchings. One, our warm up again is to increase our heart rate, to be a pulse raiser. With that being said, we don't want to do stretches where we're standing in place and actually slowing ourselves down. We want to slowly increase our heart rate, not slow down our heart rate. We want to increase it. So dynamic stretches are important. And with these stretches, we should do stretches that work different muscle groups that coincide with each other. So muscle groups of the front of the leg with muscle groups of the back of the leg, or muscle groups of the front of the arms with muscle groups of the back of the arm. So it's important to balance out what exercises you are doing. And stretching safely is important in regards to having a warm-up. So again, we're talking about different types of stretches. In regards to stretches during a warm-up, they should be specific to the activity that you're doing. They will help improve that flexibility. They'll help relax the muscles. And of course, they'll again help that prevention of possible injury. And the stretches can either be static and or dynamic. Now, when we talk about a warm-up, we want our stretch to be dynamic, meaning we're moving as we stretch, as in a lunge. A lunge is actually a good dynamic warm-up stretch, where you're stretching out your hips, you're stretching out your quadriceps, you're stretching out your hamstrings. A variety of muscles are getting stretched through the movement of a lunge. Static stretching, where you're sitting down and just holding a position, is actually better for a cool down, and we'll talk about a cool down in a second here. Um, because you're sitting down and you're just holding a position, you're now decreasing your heart rate, which isn't helping your body warm up. So again, it's important to keep your body moving. So dynamic stretches will be best for a warm up, while static stretches will be best for a cool down. And again, a variety of exercises that we've been doing in our body circuits and things that we've been doing since the beginning of the school year, from jumping jacks to squats, those are all good warm-up exercises. Okay, so types of static stretching. Active stretching is where we're holding a stretch position on our own. So when we talk about stretching, there's active stretching. This is where we're just holding a stretch, such as in a sit and reach. We're just reaching out. We're setting ourselves in good form and good positioning, reaching out, trying to hold the stretch there for a certain amount of time. Increases our active flexibility. It will help strengthen our muscles. It's usually difficult to hold for over 15 seconds if you're doing it properly and trying to work the stretch. Again, when we do stretchings actively, we're doing it on our own. Passively is the opposite of active stretching, where we're holding a stretching position with the assistance of something, such as with an exercise band. In this case, where I'm holding the hamstring stretch by using this exercise band, or I'm also using gravity to help pull my body down as I'm holding this hamstring stretch here. So with passive stretching, I'm using some kind of assistance. It's good that when you stretch to use and do both. Do some static stretching where you're just using your own body muscles to help you hold the stretch, and passive stretching where you're using some kind of maybe a towel, maybe a band, maybe a partner holding your leg, or passive stretching here where we're using gravity. We're standing up and then bending over to help us with stretching. The benefits of improved flexibility and the benefits of stretching, that they're going to help increase our range of motion. Of course, it's going to decrease our chance of injury by increasing our range of motion, although you can overstretch your body, which is good as well. So you want to make sure you have a balance in regards to your flexibility. We want to increase our range of motion, which would help decrease our chance of injury. But if we overdo our range of motion, it could actually end up leading to injury. Greater reach. Certain sports require to have a greater reach, such as tennis and basketball, or possibly other throwing events like the javelin. So you need to be able to stretch out. And again, it goes to that increased range of motion. With an increased range of motion, you'll be able to apply more power. More power is applying speed over a distance. So we're faster and we're stronger because of those longer levers, which are basically our muscles being stretched out, which will help us perform better in any kind of performance, especially athletic activities. So with the stretching aspect, we can lead into a cool down. And the benefits of a cool down, well, it's first of all, it's going to aid in the waste products that are produced while we exercise. So one of them being lactic acid. So by cooling ourselves down, it's going to help our body remove that lactic acid in those waste products in our muscles. It's going to also reduce our potential for delayed onset muscle soreness. It will help reduce soreness that we might feel the next day when we do a proper cool down. It will also reduce our chance of dizziness or fainting caused by blood pooling up in our extremities, especially if we did have an intense task or intense performance. It's important for us to cool down properly so that we don't faint or don't feel dizzy afterwards. Reduce the level of adrenaline in our body, which is relaxing us. When we do an intense performance or task or workout exercises, our adrenaline increases. That helps push us through the task or performance, which therefore we need to bring back to a set level. And therefore, by doing a cool down, it will help our body relax and reduce that adrenaline in our bodies. And of course, it's going to allow our heart rate to gradually return back to normal, bring our heart rate back down to where it normally would be. The effective cool down should include 5 to 10 minutes of a walking or jogging. Keeping it simple is important. So, walking and jogging is a simple way to cool down, along with some static stretching. And static stretching, as we talked about, could be active or passive, as mentioned earlier and shown earlier. So here we don't really want to do those dynamic stretches, such as the lunges or the squats or jumping jacks and things where we're moving. Static stretching is good for a cool down where we're actually sitting down, we're holding a position, we're controlling our breathing. And again, they should be general and specific to the activity that we just performed, and along with the fact that they should be general, simple. Doesn't have to be complex in what we're doing for our cool down. Of course, stretching safely. When we do static stretching after our workout or during a cool down, we should hold those stretches for 15 to 30 seconds. 15 to 30 seconds. 30 seconds being the long side. 15 being on the normal range. You don't want to hold them for too long, but at the same time, you don't want to hold it for long enough because you want to actually get a stretch. You don't want to hold the stretch if it causes too much pain. Back off on the stretch. Don't hold down too far. If it is causing you severe pain, of course, you want to hold the stretch. You don't want to bounce up and down, back and forth, trying to reach further and further. You want to hold the position, balance the amounts of stretches. As with our dynamic stretches, we want to make sure we stretch muscle groups, quadriceps and hamstrings, front of our body and back of our body. Again, the stretches could be both active, where we're using our own muscles to hold the stretch, or passive, where we're using some kind of assistance, a partner or bands. And any stretches can be done. There's a variety of them. You sit and reach, tricep stretch, quadricep stretch, lateral lunge, butterfly stretch, knee to chest stretch. Variety of stretches that we've done in class, that you've seen us do, can be done as shown here. There's our sit and reach stretch, which we've worked on before. You have your hamstring stretch, which legs go apart. You can go right or left or down the middle. We can then do our butterfly stretch where our feet come together and we try to hold our ankles and push down on our knees. Again, a passive stretch, we can use a band here or a towel to help stretch our hamstrings further. And you can make sure you do both sides. When you do all these stretches, don't just do one side or the other. You have to do both. We could do our hamstring stretch here. This would be, again, standing. This would be passive because gravity is helping us. And again, we can go down the middle. We can go to right or left. Because it's the hamstring stretch, it's also good to do the quadricep stretch. We're standing balanced position here, trying to balance yourself as we do these stretches. And again, make sure you do both sides. You have your tricep stretch for your arms. You could do both arms. Shoulder stretch where arms are coming across your chest. Here's another example of a passive stretch where I'm hanging from gymnastic rings here to stretch out my back and shoulders, trying to keep a reverse plank position here. So again, a variety of different stretches you can do for a cool down, along with for a warm up. But remember, during a warm up, they should be dynamic in movement, whereas in the cool down, they should be static. When we exercise today with our fitness challenge, try to start doing a warm up. Try to start doing a cool down afterwards. Choose the exercises that you like to do. Choose the exercises that will help you get your body warmed up. For some of us, we have to do some more challenging exercises to help us warm up. For some of us, some simpler basic exercises will help us warm up properly. And the same thing again with cooling down and our static stretches and our flexibility. Some of us are more flexible than others, so therefore you should challenge yourself with some stretches. Yoga itself is a good way to work your flexibility, although it is intense, and therefore you should warm up before you do yoga like activity. And of course, with yoga, if you do it properly, there are also some cool down exercises to do as well. All to help with our flexibility, along with preparing our body to perform properly in whatever performance we're out to do, and help you be your best at the task at hand. Keep working hard, answer the questions accordingly. And again, remember now to start working on improving your warm up and improving your cool down as we continue exercising throughout the year.